Compass Multifamily is a professional property management company with operations in Texas and Oklahoma. Over the years, we've developed and refined our own proven process for evaluating and managing Class A through D multifamily residential rental properties. If you're looking to purchase another property or improve the performance of what you already own, we can help you. We'll bring our unique data-driven process, tools, and expertise to bear to help you negotiate, purchase, and manage a well-informed investment. We build a turnkey preliminary forecast that helps you immediately begin preparing your letter of intent offer. We provide extensive due diligence services, including a property walkthrough and evaluation with our Asset Inspector app. We built this app exclusively for our use to compile and statistically analyze tens of thousands of actual property-specific data points using cloud-based technology. Asset Inspector captures every critical detail with respect to the physical interior of the apartment units through aggregation. The extensive data we collect has resulted in expense accuracy within a 5 to 7% margin of error, which includes C and D class buildings. This gives you a much better picture of potential profitability than traditional analysis that's based on simple industry ratios and macro norms. We also thoroughly analyze the rent and lease details, providing you with sortable data for analysis. We compile all of this due diligence data into a detailed 3-year operating forecast for the property, which can be easily updated to explore your upgrade, leasing, and management options. The result helps you make the most informed investment possible with negotiating power based on accurate property and expense data. Using our proven process, you make your return on the purchase, not on the sale. Now let's take a closer look at how it all comes together. To kick off our preliminary forecast of your chosen property, you log into our online portal, enter some basic property information, submit the T12 data for the trailing 12 months, and the rent roll, and pay the nominal charge for our service. Once we have this, we go to work on the market survey or rental competitive analysis of the property. We send in a Compass employee who matches the target demographic to investigate the rental rates and physical condition of this property and other competitive apartments. Our employee photographs the properties and evaluates their condition in person, entering the data into our system. This creates more up-to-date and accurate rental information than you would get from ALN or CoStar or similar products. The property data collected is then reviewed and compared with similar properties in terms of age, quality class, geography, and demographics. The resulting preliminary forecast spreadsheet projects potential revenue and likely expenses for your property with high accuracy. Using this spreadsheet, you can run your own scenarios to see how the property may perform when you grow your rents, invest in particular upgrades, or make other significant financial impacts on the NOI. Once you're comfortable with the performance and projected rate of return, you can use the data to extrapolate a purchase price for your offer LOI. If your offer is accepted by the seller, that's when the bulk of our services kick in to provide extensive due diligence on your property before closing. Let's take a close look at all the data that goes into our comprehensive lease audit, data-driven property evaluation, and finally, the 3-year operating forecast. First, the lease audit. The lease audit data for each unit includes the building or unit identifier, specific type of unit, square footage, and number of occupants, as well as critical information about the tenants and their existing lease. This includes the lease start and end dates, current rent rolled, current deposit amount, names of residents, and whether background employment and rental checks were done up front. It also indicates whether a cosigner was involved and any concessions made, including the details of those concessions. This data gets factored into the lease audit memo we generate, as well as the operating forecast, allowing for more accurate projections of tenant turnover and opportunities to increase rents over the longer term. We'll take a look at the resulting lease audit memo in just a few minutes. Next, we use our Asset Inspector app that we developed to do a detailed interior unit 360-degree perimeter walkthrough where we collect over 300 data points on each unit type for our template. On the initial walkthrough, we map out the floor plan and features of the unit that will be considered for repair or replacement. 24 to 48 hours later, another Compass employee walks through the same items in the property and quickly scores each one with our Asset Inspector app. Our employee gives each item in the walkthrough a rating from 1 to 5, which reflects the quality of the existing item, and whether a major or minor repair is required or whether it needs to be replaced. We capture this for every item on the original walkthrough, as Asset Inspector guides the evaluating employee through the items one by one so that nothing is missed. For the roof, foundation, HVAC systems, and major exterior projects such as siding or asphalt replacement, we bring in third-party specialists to evaluate what's needed and the cost. Once we have all this data, our executive team decides which replacement parts get used in the cost legend to determine the upgrade plan, if one is needed at all. We take the market survey we did earlier into account when we consider the upgrade plan. To be sure we match the improvements of competitive properties that command higher rents. We prepared the lease audit memo, which includes detailed data points to help evaluate the quality of the tenants, which is a primary factor in projected tenant turnover. The lease audit memo document that we generate summarizes and highlights critical information you'll want to consider when evaluating the risk of keeping existing tenants and the effects of eventually replacing them with ones with fewer risks. Looking at the highlights section of the lease audit memo, we can see there's a text and graphic breakdown of existing leases with risk factors such as expired leases, those with no security deposit, unknown verification checks, felony records, evictions, those likely to move without warning, and so on. Then a summary of current occupancy, number of vacant units, and the number of new leases initiated from year to year, which reflects tenant retention and turnover, month by month and year by year. Next, the memo breaks down tenants at high risk of moving due to military deployment, recent move-ins with felonies who may end up being evicted shortly versus those who've been long-term residents, and recent move-ins with a past history of broken leases or evictions. The lease audit memo wraps up with a summary of the marketing venues currently utilized, rental and lease pricing incentives, a summary of upcoming lease renewals, and general observations about the location, traffic, crime report, and so forth. Overall, a comprehensive look at potential risks. Finally, the 3-year operating forecast is where we bring everything together to project the most accurate possible figures for revenue and expenses in a very detailed way. As we mentioned earlier, the costs are based on real data, not ratios, on more than 300 data points per unit statistically evaluated. Our average turnover cost is very accurate, and historically the average repair and maintenance cost per unit per year is within 5 to 7% accuracy for Class A through D properties. It's also very easy to revise and test out modifications to your plan using all the data we've collected about your property. You can instantly create different interior upgrade or replacement scenarios by simply swapping out the costs for alternative upgrades and repairs in seconds, all automated through aggregation software. Let's take a look at how the estimated turnover during the first 3 months is reflected in the operating forecast. The operating forecast spreadsheet pulls all the critical data together and highlights areas where risk can be reduced, allowing you to make your own adjustments and projections to see the results. Using our data-driven process, Compass Multifamily helps you make the most informed investment possible, with leverage to negotiate financing, terms, and work bids based on the accurate property and expense data we've collected for you. This also provides you with a roadmap for effectively managing the property based on our experience managing more than 29,000 residential units across Texas and Oklahoma.
You make your money when you buy it, not when you sell it. You really need to know what you're buying at the beginning. We do all the homework up front, pass it off to our all-star operations team, focus on goals we've outlined, and spend the next month getting the property ready for management after transfer. We like to hit the ground running. If you're investing in a new property or simply trying to squeeze better performance out of one you already own, reach out to us.